All right, listen. It's the evening. I just got done eating, and I might be coughing a lot because I just got phlegm in my throat. Oh yeah, check this out. One of my friends was asking me what brush I was using. As kind of a joke, and I was like, I was using a brush. Get it? I actually also have a J brush, so I will paint entirely using just these two brushes. Let's start with the J brush. Um, okay. Anyway, a couple caveats. I just got done eating, so I might have more phlegm in my throat than normal. And then on top of that, I also I didn't really tell my kids that I'm recording. I usually tell them so they don't just barge in with questions. So there's a good chance that you guys will get some guest appearances, and you know what? So be it. These videos aren't too long anyway, and I don't plan on spending too much time on this video. But I'm trying to do this cadence of try to do at least two videos a day, one in the morning, one in the evening. Um, Even if it's only like a few minutes long. And I did some short form videos earlier today just because I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. And I said I was gonna do it, so I did it. Anyway, let's get into this. Somebody asked a question. I figured I'd answer this to the best of my ability as I do this demo in this short amount of time. Do you have any mental pre-visualization exercises before the video, or do you go right into the flow state? Well, Pierce 9, the answer is simple. Oh, you know what would be great? Hold on. Hold on. This this is some next level YouTubing. I'm going to use this brush. Um, yes, sir. I'm going to use this brush to answer your question. And this brush is essentially your essentially your profile picture. What's going on here? Why can't I make it do the thing? And just reduce the spacing and shattering. Okay, it's not perfect. In fact, I might just nuke this and crank up. What is it? Color burn? Yeah, I think that should be fine. And then I'll just crank up this and that, so it's a little bit more aggressive. This texture is coming in hot. What the heck? Let's do a bit of the. Ooh, it's a little too sketch. Honestly, this is fine. Let's not get too caught up. This is just kind of a off the cuff, but look, that's your brush that I'm using. For those of you who are curious, if you enjoy the painting and the result of this painting, it is because I was using this brush, and that's the only reason. There is no other reason why this might do well. The years of me training for nearly two decades has nothing to do with the success of this painting, but rather the brush that I made from the portrait of one of the people who asked the question. That is the true tool. Who needs AI when you can just use Pierce 9 portrait as brushes, right? To answer your question, do I have a flow? Like, hell no. Obviously. I just made a brush out of your portrait. and and there's a lot to say about that, because one of the things that I always talk to my students about, and I'll walk through this kind of a little bit, give some more context. I used to teach in a way where I would describe my workflow as if like I had a thought process. Like, yeah, I think about the shapes, I think about the overall design, I keep in mind these, and I keep in mind that, and I keep in mind this, and I keep in mind that, and a this, and a that, and a this, and a that. And um, I realized that that's just not what's actually happening. I'm not actually thinking about anything when I'm doing. Like, if I was, then I wouldn't be talking. In fact, whenever I would do a demo of something, like sometimes my students will have a little bit more stylized artwork, like maybe super cartoony or maybe super anime. And I have some ability to kind of get feedback on that, especially with draw overs and paint overs. And so as I'm doing it, I'm like, I just will stop talking because I'm like, how do I do this? How do I give feedback? And I'll actually think about it. I'm like, okay, I need to consider this, like this, because I just don't have kind of the skills to just do it without thinking. And but if it's like a robot or some sort of amorphous fantasy design or just like some creature, um, bro, I can easily do it. You know, it's like I can totally just chat while working. And I think part of the reason why I just do it is because I've been painting and drawing and designing for, again, nearly 2 decades, and even prior to that, for about 5 years, I was training so aggressively that I just began to just do this, and I also practiced talking while painting. I got really good at that when I was hanging out with my friends. I just did a memorial demo for my buddy Rob, and and one of the things that we used to do is we have a concept art club, and because of that, we would ultimately just talk and demo for each other all the time. And so, in fact, a lot of my friends, like my buddy Kalen, Cha, Jason Shire, like all of our homies that we hang out with each other, all are pretty good at teaching because we used to help teach ourselves. We taught each other. And so, as a consequence of like teaching each other and painting while talking and painting so often and so frequently, um, yeah, I just got pretty good at it. One of the things that uh, became clear to me, I got sent this video. I was watching it and I was like, wow, this is a really cool video about, having the motivation to do stuff, and how the internet as it stands it's finding its way in making people not do as much as they ought to. And um like it's kind of doing this thing where it's stagnating people. It's creating more pressure for individuals, which I don't disagree with. I actually agree that this is a consequence of having access to too much information all the time, anytime. And the funny thing is that I have the opposite problem. I haven't been posting nearly as much in the last, I mean, to be fair, like few years, which is unfortunate. And it's unlike me, because even when I was at my busiest, I would always be drawing. I would always be posting. And I think it's because I was just going through a lot of challenges with life, and also just a lot of challenges with just being an art director. It's just a different kind of job. And then teaching, I just felt I was just doing too much art. And I just didn't feel like I wanted to make anything outside of what I was already doing for work. It was fulfilling enough too. I liked the kind of work I was doing. So it really didn't bother me nearly as much. And the kind of self-validation too of like doing something was coming from jobs. So I just felt it wasn't necessary. So I was a little overwhelmed, feeling like I just do too much art in the first place. With my free time, I need to hang out with my family, you know? But now that like I'm on a little bit of a downwind, I'm coming off a couple contracts. I'm in between, and then with the uh, death of my close friend, it just reminded me that I should get back to doing stuff like this again. I used to do it quite a lot, regardless of where I was at in my career, whether I was doing really well or I was doing okay. I still found time to just talk and just put out tutorials and put out videos and just help people out indirectly, directly, whatever. And so, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, this flow state that you're kind of curious about, yeah, there is nothing that's happening in my mind. I am just letting my hand move and let my subconscious do the painting. And to acquire this skill just requires a lot of practice, just like any other skill that you would acquire. You know what I mean? There is this thing that I would say is like comparing yourself to walking, or to your art ability to like walking. Like you don't think about walking, but yet you do it all the time. You don't think about catching something really, unless you you don't catch stuff. But like, you know what I mean? Like you don't think about scratching your back or your grabbing something off a table because it seems like basic. Like why would you even think about that? It's like obvious. Well, there was a time where we all couldn't do that kind of stuff. We couldn't grab cups off of tables. You know, we were babies, we were toddlers, we were trying to still figure out we're clumsy. But over time and years of practice, you were able to do these things without even thinking about them. But there was a time where you absolutely had to think about it. Take it from me, I have like a quadrillion children, and I've watched all of them evolve at different phases of their life, from not being able to just walk in a straight line to jumping, running, and sprinting, and still at this point falling and hurting themselves. And I'm just like, God dang it. And so, yeah, I highly encourage, if you want to acquire these types of skills where you're not really paying attention, it just means you got to double down on working. Got to draw a shit ton more. But anyway, for those of you who are curious about my tutorials and stuff, yeah, just visit my website, check them out. If you're curious about my mentorships, go check it out there too. Otherwise, I will be putting these kind of topical sprints of videos pretty often. Again, like I said, I used to post really regularly, but now that I got a little bit of, like I said, time, I feel like I can do some stuff. I am anticipating that, and because I got some opportunities that are going to kind of ramp up in the next week or two, and I am definitely going to be heads down working even more aggressively, and I'm trying to make this as low resistance as possible. Like this is already just taking about 12 minutes of my time. That's not bad. You know, like I'm not stressing about this. Like this is fine. I think I talked about it in a different video. What I would normally do is just take a break. I would just like watch YouTube, or I'll be like on TikTok or something and just kind of waste my time. But it's good. It's like therapeutic, like to just not be doing anything, just kind of wasting your time, you know? And I don't ever feel guilty because I work a lot. But I was like, well, I mean, maybe I can waste, quote unquote, waste my time doing something that's a little bit more productive and something that I enjoy doing anyway, right? I like talking about art. I like making art. And as long as it's like low effort, again, like one of the things I've been doing is just once I'm done with this, I just crop this out and then I black out that it and I just handwrite the title of the screen, screenshot it, and then make that the thumbnail. Like how low resistance is that? Like this, I just upload the video, hit all the yeses and nos on whatever the YouTube is asking me, and just submit and then move on with my life. The whole process after the video, like the prep after, is no more than like 2 to 3 minutes. So however long my video is, add on 2 to 3 more minutes. That's how long it takes me to do this. And that is incredibly sustainable. And I might only be able to do 1 video a day if I'm overworked. But as long as I built this habit and the system, and it seems like people are very much enjoying it, at least the audience that follows me, then, I mean, listen, let's do it. Let's go. Let's make it happen. Yeah, but to answer your question, yeah, there's no flow state. I'm not thinking about anything, my friend. Sorry. But what I can tell you that could help is like studying lots of design principles from great artists. Sometimes they don't spell it out for you, so you have to kind of be like an archaeologist and study and interpret what's happening in these amazing people's artwork. I'm actually going to put together a video topic discussing this a little bit more thoroughly. Yeah, getting that muscle memory in, like, so you got to put time in, just got to get them reps. Feel me? What else is there? Oh yeah, like practicing forms, shapes, perspective, the artistic cocktail, man. Like all the things you've heard people say you should get good at. The answer is yes. And if you feel overwhelmed because there's so many things to get good at, well, start getting going. You'll get there. And one of the things that I'll add to this kind of flow state stuff too is that it's okay if you don't do this either. I think a lot of times people admire this type of approach because it feels so magical. But I know plenty of great artists that are incredibly methodical, incredibly thoughtful about their approach. And honestly, sometimes I'm envious of that. I'm like, wow, man, they're like super thoughtful. And so it's just, different strokes for different folks, pun intended. And so I think if you just try to find what works for you, don't get caught up on what you think has to be done. That works. And my advice usually is like if you see a process and a workflow that you actually want to do, like you're like, damn, I do want to do this. This feels like something I want to be really good at. And it doesn't come natural to you, then that just means you got to make it come natural. You got to actually put that extra effort. You are at a disadvantage apparently, so you must go even harder. But if you're not, if you're too, sorry, if you're like a little agnostic or a little indifferent to it, then I mean, there's no real rush to do it then, you know, and there's no real, incentive other than maybe you heard somebody say you should. Like, it should be more than that. It should be something that you either are really driven by, or maybe you're kind of like naturally driven towards it. So you just compound that natural drive. Either way, be decisive and make some decisions. All right, cool. I'm going to stop here. Good 16, 17-minute video again. Nice, dude. Nice. Oh, I should do this so we know who the author is, which is obviously me. But I'm going to do that. I wonder if people will be, I'm going to try to hide it a little bit more. I wonder if people will be like, what is that? Is this AI art? Because there's this like random artifact up here. But we all know the truth. We will all know the truth. Anyway, I am actually curious how people will react to seeing that stamp. We shall see. Yeah, all right. Good night, folks. I'll see you tomorrow.